Joining us right now is Wisconsin Congressman Reid Ribble, who is a Ted Cruz supporter as well. Congressman, good to see you. Thanks so much for joining us.
Hey, good morning, Maria.
Do you think, well, congratulations to you, right? Ted Cruz did well. He's your guy. Do you think it was largely all of this support that he was just talking about, the establishment guys like the Lindsey Grahams of the world getting behind Ted Cruz, or was it missteps that Donald Trump made in the last 2 weeks? Tell us about the Wisconsin voter.
Yeah, campaigns are about a lot of different dynamics and a lot of different things that go on. I think here in Wisconsin, you've got a battle-tested group of conservative voters that show up to the polls, and they recognize that Ted Cruz was the conservative choice for America, and they gave him a resounding victory yesterday with a win of over 13 points over Donald Trump. It was pretty impressive, the work that Ted Cruz did here in Wisconsin.
Is it enough to take him to the rest of the contests coming out, which obviously are largely northeastern contests like New York?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, certainly you've got some momentum, though, that Ted Cruz takes into New York. And I think a lot of people were watching how Governor Kasich was going to do in Wisconsin. Was he going to be able to break the 20 or 25% threshold and pull Donald Trump down even a little bit further? Because that might bode really well for Governor Kasich in Pennsylvania and New York. That didn't happen. So I think the momentum is really moving toward Ted Cruz. And I think those Northeast states are going to have a lot to say here. But I think Ted Cruz is going to do better than most people predicted maybe a month ago.
So we got a great panel this morning talking about it. Does everybody on the panel agree that this is going into a contested convention? What do you guys think?
Look, Trump's still, if Trump were to win all these northeastern states, he is going to win New York. If he were to win Pennsylvania, obviously, for the first time in, gosh, who knows how long, California could be a huge state. But I had a question for the congressman, which is this. One of the things that sort of shocked me, I think a big gaffe by Donald Trump, and I wonder if you agree with this, is you don't go into Wisconsin in a Republican primary, do you, and attack Scott Walker, who, isn't he, Congressman, beloved by Republican voters in the state of Wisconsin?
Oh. Yeah, he sure is. About 80% favorability with Wisconsin Republicans. I think it was a huge mistake because he wasn't just attacking Governor Walker. He was attacking the reforms that conservatives in our state assembly and Senate put in place. He was attacking conservatives in Wisconsin. It was a big mistake.
By the way, Dana Perino, former press secretary to George W. Bush, she was on with Megyn Kelly last night, and she said, I think that people are underestimating, to your point, that endorsement of Governor Scott Walker.
Huge.
It was
these
really a big
are important.
Well, that's another great point. We've been talking all along about how important have endorsements been in this race. Obviously, this was a big one.
Certain. I think it depends on who it's coming from. You're talking about New York. Even if Cruz comes close in New York, comes close. Yeah. That's going to make a huge statement. New York, New Jersey. Yeah. Look, if Trump doesn't, he's supposed to steamroll through the.
He has a 25-point lead right now in New York. That's a pretty big lead. Right. That can dissipate. A lot could happen. We've learned that.
The momentum shifts are unbelievable.
So, Arthur, we heard from Donald Trump's wife the other night, Melania, reiterating what I think a lot of us already knew, that when he's attacked, he punches back 10 times harder. If there's a contested convention, what does Donald Trump do? Does he sue somebody? What happens?
It's so funny because
what's the legality of it?
Last night, Maria, tonight actually, I'm doing an interview with Justice Sam Alito in my capacity as the president of the Brooklyn Bar.
How great.
So to study for it, I was watching interviews of Justice Scalia talking about Bush Gore. And I was thinking about the modern times, right, because that's 16 years ago. Is it possible that a contested convention, which hasn't happened, I don't know how long, and it's my homework now to study on it, winds up in the United States Supreme Court? Does Donald Trump say millions and millions and millions and millions of people have voted for me? No one's voted for Mitt Romney, hypothetically, and you're going to make him the candidate? That's un-American, and this could get scary. It could get worse than Bush Gore.
What do you think, Congressman, weigh in there? Do you think this goes to the contested convention, and what does that mean?
It certainly looks like it's going to go to a contested convention for sure. What Donald Trump is going to have to do is he's going to have to bone up on the rules. You can't join the NFL and think you know the rules by watching a game on television. He's going to have to get to understand what the rules are at the convention, and Ted Cruz has been outmaneuvering him in every single state in that regard.
Well,
so he's going to have to figure it out.
Congressman, you know one of the big rules, you know this too, Maria, this rule that was from 2012 that you have to have 8 states to be in nomination. And there's a furious, mad rush among the Republican establishment, as you know, Congressman, to change that rule. As I see it as a Republican, there's only 2 people who can win this nomination right now. It's either going to be Donald Trump or Ted Cruz. And as a Cruz supporter, I wonder if you're worried about the Republican establishment changing those rules in a way that could not only, take the nomination away from Donald Trump, but also possibly from your guy, Ted Cruz.
Well, the rules haven't been established for 2016 yet, and those rules will be established by the delegates who are sent by these various states, and those delegates will be committed to one of those candidates. So Donald Trump will have delegates on the Rules Committee, as will Ted Cruz, as will Governor Kasich, and they will establish the rules for 2016 because they haven't been written yet.
You can't change the rules in the middle of the game. I think this is the point that Donald Trump is going to make. I mean, you can't just make up the rules so that the guy you don't want to win doesn't win. It seems to me that will be robbery, and Trump will go through the roof if that happens.
Except that for 100 years, the Republican conventions have always been set on the weeks right before the convention by the very delegates that are sent by the voters to represent them at the conventions. And they will be representative of Donald Trump's delegates and Ted Cruz's delegates. Not that anything is going to get stolen. These candidates have to make the argument since none of them crossed the finish line.
Yeah, well, this is going to be a debated moment, that's for sure.
1976, the last...
Yeah. Is that it?
That was
1976,
Reagan versus Ford.
Right.
Reagan versus Ford.
Right.
So this has happened. Sandra says it's 1976.
Yeah.
Last contested convention.
I was 9. I was there.
Yeah, a lot of us have not seen this before, Congressman. Good to see you, sir. Thank you so much.
Hey, thank you.
We will